Hello, today I have something different. I wanted to create those motifs, so those little illustrations, so I can put them into pattern, and I wanted to show you the whole process. So what you can learn from this series, how I sketch, how I paint with watercolor and ink, and then how I digitize those motifs, and then how I put them together in pattern, so you can choose any stage of this journey. And yeah, join me in to that journey, this task, and let's get drawing. So I thought I'm going to do a little kind of kitchen themed pattern, which is very loosely painted vegetables. So we have carrots, sweet pea, tomato, some sort of radish or beetroot, I'm not sure, pepper, some herbs, bits and bobs, broccoli, a leek, and salad. They are very loose, not exactly realistic, so this is kind of just what I draw in my kitchen 5 minutes ago. And we're going to do a little bit better sketch here on my watercolor paper. So I'm using my smooth Cassart watercolor paper, A4 size, so it's going to be nice and easy to scan in. Let's start with a carrot. And I'm not too worried about the way this looks, the sketching. I'm not sure if I'm going to fit into one page, to be honest. Why don't I start somewhere here? This carrot's going to be kind of like a triangle shape. So just starting from that shape, and the process I'm doing is pencil, then ink or liner in this case, and then, sorry, I'm trying to draw and talk, it's so hard. And then I'm going to wipe pencil and do a painting on with my paints, watercolors. I might even add a little bit of colored pencil, but I don't want to overwork it. I hope you can see that. You can see a little bit of a pencil here. So I might have to spill over 2 pages, but it doesn't really matter. I like the sweet pea, the shape, one under the other. And there's something really adorable about sweet pea. I do like those little curly things. They usually have that at the end. And I love the sweet pea flowers as well. Last year we had absolute explosion of sweet pea. I went a bit over the top, and I have planted loads, and they kind of climbing all over the this metal special trellis, not trellis, like a pyramid shape thing. So tomato I'm making slightly more squashed rather than round, so it doesn't look like apple. Pepper, I might have to look on my internet in a minute and see what that looks like, because I can't remember that well. Salad, so with a salad I thought we could do something like that, just leaves, and that will be enough. Beetroot was round. I love beetroot. You can go to town with colors and things, so definitely doing that. Oh, maybe too far with that one. Broccoli is a must. I had kind of started something similar some time ago, and I already had a couple of vegetables painted and drew, but I thought if I'm doing the whole thing, I want to show the whole thing, how it's done in that shape. So I'm not having any reference. Feel free to grab a reference, but I wanted them to be kind of loose, and sometimes when I look, it's limits me. This is the leek. That could be quite nice. It's those little kind of hair-like things at the end. That's going to be nice to do this wet on wet. And now a little bit of herbs. So obviously this is not how the pattern is going to be like together. It will be arranged, every element will be arranged separately and scanned in and then arranged. But I wonder if you're interested in any of my kind of pattern making process. I will show you how I do it. I'm kind of going back to Photoshop with patterns because I learned how to use Illustrator and it has its great sides, but you know, there's nothing like that beautiful watercolor effect, and you can't really get it. I think I need to look up the pepper. You can't really get it with the vector good watercolor. You can argue with me, I have never seen a good watercolor in vector form. Bell pepper. Okay, so it has kind of like a shape here, shape there. Okay, that's fine, that will do. So at the moment we have holidays, kind of half term. So my son is off and we went today to a historical dockyard in Portsmouth and it was really good fun. I took my friend with her child. We had a lovely time. Children just enjoyed themselves, but it was really busy. So I got here the 0.3, 0.5. It's a black liner. I'm happy with that. I also have a brown one, but for this job, I think I'm going to stick with this one. Oh, that's a bit thicker. 0.8. Let me just see if it's not all dried out. It is a little bit. Also this tumble. I love it. Should we try that instead? And I think it's waterproof. Oh, would be, yeah, water-based pigment. Oh, okay, let's see if it's waterproof. Let's do a little test. Yeah, looks like it. Okay, let's use this lovely tumble today. It gives a bit of a varied line. I'll start with tomatoes. I'm holding it kind of till the end. Oh, I love it. I love that style. It's not very literal, just a hint. Some people call it messy, some people call it loose, sketchy, and there's no right and wrong. If you like it, just do it. Just to show that texture of a carrot, the edges. Don't know if I want to do any kind of shading with it as well. I don't want to go too far. Some people attend classes to loosen up. I used to go to, when I went to my watercolor painting class, I sat to a lovely lady. She's very, very sweet, older than me, much older, and she had a massive experience in watercolor painting. She was very good, but she always struggled to kind of let go and go loose. And I remember she was going to those workshops somewhere in, I don't know if it was in Kent or somewhere quite far away from us, just driving there one day to this watercolor painter lady, and she basically wanted to learn how to let loose and how to not paint in such a rigid way. So if you paint loose, you already you know, you don't have to worry. So if you combine a sort of line work, I love it personally, and if you combine kind of wet on wet technique, it can give you a really nice result. Lots of people love it because it's quite looking artistic. Some people think it's harder to do. Not for me to judge. Like I said, it's sometimes really hard to let your habits go, and that fear that it has to be perfect, has to be tight. I think that pepper looks a little bit, maybe I'll just ignore it. Okay, so we got our inked with the Tombow Funosuke is called. They're in Japanese. I don't have to really wait for very long because it's already pretty much dried as I touch the page, and it has this lovely character, a little bit like a dry brush texture in that line, and I love it. So now I'm just getting rid of pencil underneath, because if I scan that with the pencil on, that would be just nightmare to edit, to digitize. So I'm just making my life easier, and it just looks more aesthetic. What you can do, you can just pencil. You don't have to do the black line. Some people leave a pencil and leave it as a stylistic choice for them to have that line work with pencil or with color pencil. I quite like the effect with the color pencil, I have to say. Not crazy about the pencil because it always looks like not properly done. Okay, so we got rid of pencil more or less. Oh, still here. I have tendency to overlook things, sometimes right in front of me. When I sometimes, for example, try to draw human portrait, I forget to paint eyebrows, just like that. And today I'm going to experiment with that bigger brush. I'm not going to go too tight. This is a nice 10 size. I don't know where my other one is, but it doesn't matter. So just a 10 size, it's a good size. I'm going to mix my color first. So for the tomato, I'm going to use kind of orange, red, and mix it up, and maybe a bit of yellow, just to give it a more interesting color. And now I'm going to wet that area. To look at the angle because I can't see very well. And then drop the paint. So it's called wet to wet technique, and you add on. Once it dries, it will have a beautiful effect. And I'm just going to drop a little bit darker, so Potter's pink here, just in the area where the shadow would be. And I'm not bothered if that goes over the line just a little bit here and there. I actually really like this effect. I'm going to try Indian red, which is like a brown color again. Just drop it a little bit. And drop a really bright cadmium red, just a little bit to give a punch. So this is our tomato ready. We're going to come back to it to do the green bits. We don't want to do everything at once because it will just bleed into it. Now carrot time. So we already mixed up our color roughly. Just going to wet the area. Don't go too wet. That's the other thing with watercolor painting, you really need to learn how much proportion kind of water to paint, and all you need to do is practice and keep trying, because there's no other way to learn. I'm going to use the same Indian red for kind of darker bits. I'll kind of just drop it here and there. Have we got any more orange kind of areas to do? No, so we can move more into purpley bit here. We're going to do the beetroot, just water, and then manganese violet, I think it's called, and then magenta to give it different shades, and something darker. We need maybe perylene maroon, sorry. Just need something even darker, so burnt umber, and this will dry really nicely, I think, when it's done. Salad, we can use, what sort of salad has what colour? Permanent green. Okay. Water. Then drop a little bit more. And then where the area is where the kind of leaves overlapping, I can add a little perylene green to show that shadow area. Don't want to make it too tight. That looks fine. Now broccoli, we're going to operate with the same sort of colors because we want nice harmony. But we're going to start with kind of yellow a little bit. So yellow deep hue I really like because it's got that warmth. And then we're going to add the green. And like I said, the green I'm using is perylene green. Oops, it's quite nice, natural, on the darker, cooler side. And some people say don't mix cold and warm colors, which here that would be disaster if I listened. But I don't mind that. I'm not sure if it applies to watercolors as well. Not every type of pigment. I like how it mixes with yellow and then you get a slightly different shade of green. That's really nice. And don't worry if you go over because you can cut it out in post-production. Now with the same sort of green, we're going to go over those little areas. Sweet pea, we're going to add a bit of more yellow, just to give it a lighter feel. A slightly different shade of the peas. Very cute. Now leek. So that's going to be interesting because we're going to create here kind of white, and then we're adding from the end paint, so it bleeds into that water here nicely and will leave very natural effect of gradient. I can go out a little bit more here and there, just so it doesn't look so flat, just adding a little bit more colour. We'll be able to come back to that tomato in a minute. I don't mind making those marks a bit more loose. Let's go here. Starting from the top, and then it bleeds into that beetroot, the redness. Just need to make it a little bit more intensive on the bottom there. So give it a shape, otherwise it's just very flat. Burnt umber here on the bottom, and the shadow from those leaves. Couple of speckles. Not sure if I'm gonna even bother with this pepper because it just looks wrong. I'm not a fan. And then that yellow with a little bit of green to give a different shade to the salad, so it's not all one color, and giving it a bit of a depth. Hope you can see that all right. And then we're going to paint the darker area of that sweet pea inside, so those sweet peas will stand out a bit more. And I did it quite quickly. I'm not slaving over it, not making details and things like that, so it's very, very quick. But it has to be deliberate. You need to know what you want to achieve. And then tomato, it's okay if it bleeds a little bit into this, drying for a while, and I like that effect again. I think I might add a little bit of lightness to those stems there. So again, my yellow and mixing with a bit of green. Okay, let's make it a little darker there in the kind of shadowy area. We want them all to be stylistic similar. We don't want to if you don't build up shadows here, don't do it in there. So they all have to look like they're from the same family. If you're making very flat shapes and one of them you give too much shadow, it just is off. It doesn't feel quite right. So everything has to be in the same sort of style. If that makes sense. Oh, I love it. That's really good. So a couple more adjustments just so it looks interesting. And again, you could do detail, you can just build it, but we are aiming for quite simplistic look. Pepper. It's just wrong shape, or kind of, it's fine. We have enough elements there to make that work. You know what I thought? I could actually do like a single little piece somewhere here and there. So that will be quite cute. Put it here and there. Need to make sure I use the same color. Very nice. It's like it got loose in a way. Okay, and I think we're ready. We're going to let it dry and see how that ends up. And the next bit will be scanning this into the Photoshop, and I'll show you the next bit.